afternoon, every student that is taking English and Academic Communication Skills for the first year. This is our examination-based contact session for 2019, and I am your tutor, Mrs. Niebout. I would like to emphasize that this is the one and only contact class and presentation for the whole year of 2019. So all examinations for 2019, April, August and November will be only this contact class. Now, as you know by now, some of our courses have been combined, and the examination for 2019 had been compiled as requested by the IOL officers and using the study guides for the following courses: DJPE, which is the Diploma in Junior Primary Education; the DPPE, the Diploma in Pre-Primary Education; DES, which is the Diploma in Secondary Education; BESP, which is the Bachelor in Education for Senior Primary Students; ACSE is the Advanced Certificate in Secondary Education; and ACPE is the Advanced Certificate in Primary Education. And those are all the courses that have been combined. And the following will guide you in your preparation for the examination for this subject. It is important to point out that the most important preparation that you have to do is the following. First is to work through your study guide with care and diligence. Then do all the learning activities in the guide, and then to check the answers given at the end of the module. If you have not ensured that you really know the study guide and its content, you may have difficulty preparing for the examination. You must ensure that you are familiar with and can apply the linguistic constructs of the language. Like everything else in life, a language must be practiced to perfect its use. The following is important information for your upcoming examination in 2019. The examination format will be: the duration of the paper will be 2.5 hours, and it will be 120 marks. The examination script consists out of 4 questions with subsections. It is important that you answer all questions with the subsections. And before I continue to the study material, I just want to point out that please, you have to read your questions carefully. Otherwise, you won't be able to answer the question correctly. We will get to the verbs, which is in front of your study guide. Those verbs are very, very important, because I can just emphasize that if you are asked in a question to, for example, to explain something, you can't just list the facts or name the facts. You have to explain it, otherwise you're going to lose some marks. Okay, let's carry on to the study material. The study guide for DPPE Eacs11 on your Kindle or on your hard copy or a hard copy. The study guide for BESP, and you have it also Eacs11 on your Kindle or as a study guide. You have a study guide for DES, AECE11, also on the Kindle or a hard copy. The study guide for ACSE, Eacs11, and the study guide for ACPE, Eacs11, both are on the Kindle, or you can have it on a hard copy. The new combined IOL study guide for DJPE, Eacs11, BSP, Eacs11, DES, Eacs11 are also on the Kindle or the hard copy. The content of the DPPE, the BSP, ACPE, ACSE and DES study guides are exactly the same, and references will therefore be the same. DPPE, BSP, DES, ACPE and ACSE students will also be referred to the Lutheran book that has to be used as indicated in their study guides. And please do it, because there are some questions coming from the Lutheran book. The DJPE students only have to use their new IOL study guide, and references will be made from this study guide. Understanding the questions, and I have touched on that earlier. Every part of information can be assessed in a number of different ways. The examination paper are set up in 3 levels, and each question usually starts with a verb, and the verbs, as I am going to say again, are in front of your book before you start studying Unit 1. You have to start and know the meaning and explanations of these verbs. Please pay special attention to the verbs used and make sure that you understand what each verb means and what is expected of you to do. As I've explained, if you are asked to discuss, don't name it or don't list it. These will guide you to what action you are expected to perform. Failing to perform the correct action will result in low marks and or the loss of valuable marks. Please make sure that you know what the verbs in front of your study guide means in order to answer the questions correctly. Now, the following verbs are mainly used in the papers for 2019. The level 1 are to test your knowledge. We use the verb identify. So identify something means you have to recognize and name or list the features. If you are asked to name the stages, then only name them. If you are asked to describe the stages, then you have to provide detailed features of each issue or stage or of a process in a logical sequence using numbers and headings and proper sentences. When you are asked to list or state the aspects or the facts, present a list of facts, names, objects, etc. in a certain order. Define the features. That means you have to provide the precise, brief meaning of something. Indicate what features are included and excluded. Also, questions leading with explain, analyze, compare, clarify, and summarize will test your comprehension. Level 2, and that is when we are testing if you can apply the knowledge that you have in practice. And those verbs are, for instance, demonstrate. That means you have to perform the necessary operations. Show it by example. Or when you are asked to propose the facts, suggest a plan or idea. If you are asked to analyze, examine information in detail to discover the main ideas or the components or the patterns or the relationships. Show why they are important and how competence are related and what theories they reflect. When you are asked to discuss facts, give a clear description and then argue about features by pointing out positive and negative features, arriving at a conclusion. Your level 3 is the more difficult one, the one where we will ask you to evaluate the facts or compare the facts. Now, when you are asked to evaluate, that means you have to determine the value or the worth or the quality or the success of something according to certain criteria. To compare means actually to indicate the similarities or the resemblances and differences of phenomena regarding particular criteria. Draw a conclusion about the similarities and differences, emphasizing the similarities. Very often a table format is used to compare phenomena. A description of one phenomena after the other is not a comparison. We like to ask about critical thinking, and usually that is very difficult for you to do. But if you know how to do it, it won't be that difficult. You can be asked to argue the facts, which means give the valid reasons of ideas or facts or sources. When you are asked to discuss something critically, students have to give a reasoned judgment after carefully weighing the facts. Students must also provide positive and negative points and draw to a conclusion. Distinguish. Describe two phenomena or two things according to relevant criteria. Point out clearly the differences between the two sets. If you are asked to differentiate, show how things are different or opposite regarding particular criteria. Look only for the differences, not the similarities too, as in the case of comparison. Make sure you know what the different verb instruction words on page 10 to 12 mean. It's very important that all questions consist of facts that you will have to study from your study guide. For the language structured questions, you must understand the spoken and written language. Now the examination cover page. Under student details, the following information must be filled in: your student number, your surname, your first name, your ID number, and the examination center. The instructions. Read the general instructions and examination instructions carefully and ensure that you know what is required before you start. You are not permitted to take any form of notes into the examination room. Plan your time wisely and write as quickly and neatly as you can. Make sure that you watch the time to ensure that you finish in time. If time permits, read through your answers to pick up possible mistakes, and then you must also make sure that you have answered all the questions. Very important is that some questions write everything in capital letters. Only use capital letters as indicated in the study guide on page 256 and Lutheran page 15. This is very important when you write letters, essays, grammatical sentences, etc. I must be able to see whether you know how to use a capital letter and where to use capital letters. Also very important, the paper is set up so that you write on the paper itself. The quantity of lines given also help you to determine the length of your answer. Also look at the marks allocated to each question to determine how many facts to write to obtain the correct marks. The script itself for 2019. References are done according to the Kindle, as all students have the Kindle. Page references are also done in brackets according to the actual study guide or the hard copy. Please note, as I've said right in the beginning, only one and this presentation. There won't be any more. Only one presentation will be recorded for the examination scripts for April, August and November 2019. There will not be a presentation for each examination as it was done previously. These references are all for DJPE, DPPE, BE, SP, DES, ACPE and ACSE students. See which refers to your own study material. For the April, August and November 2019 examinations, you may concentrate on the following. References are not done in any particular order, and the following are what you might get in any of the 3 examination scripts. Your study guide consists out of 4 units. From each unit, questions to the total of 30 marks were set. The core topics for the units in the study guide. References are done according to the Kindle, as most of the students have the Kindle. I, however, also give the pages as indicated in the actual study guide. For Unit 1, the general and academic listening skills. DJPE, you can find it in the study guide on page 15. DPPE, BE, SP, DES, ICPE, ICSE, you will find it on page 11. 1.1 are the good listening skills in general and social situations. DJPE, find it on page 17, while DPPE, BSPE, BESP, DES, ICPE and ICSE will find it on page 12. Very important to study is the non-verbal cues in listening comprehension. The intonation, personal space, gestures, intonation and emphasis. That is a very important one to study. DJPE will find that on page 30, and the other courses will find it on page 14. The listening skills for note-taking in academic situations, for example, listening for purpose, meaning, structure, detail, main points, opinions, facts, conclusions. DJPE will find it on page 51, DPPE, BESP, DES, ICPE and ICSE will find it on page 15. To concentrate for the examination, I emphasize good listening skills and interpretation of non-verbal cues. Very important. For Unit 2, general and academic reading skills, which is a very, very important unit for you to study. Lots and lots over the year and over the 3 papers that you will be receiving. Lots of questions are coming from this unit. So make sure that you know Unit 2 by heart. You will find DJPE, the reading skills, on page 77, while DPPE, ESP, DES, ICPE and ICSE will find it on page 19. The value of reading a lot, in other words, the importance and the benefits of reading, very important to study, you will find on page 79 for the DJPE students, the DPPE, BESP, DES, ICPE, ICSE will find their information on page 21 in their study guide. The features of a competent reader, as you know, we usually ask that one, so you can study that. You will find that DJPE students on page 86, while the other courses will find it on page 22 in their study guide. The role of grammar and vocabulary in effective reading, DJPE on page 91, DPPE, BESP, DES, ICPE, ICSE will find it on page 23. The comprehension of written text. DJPE will find it on page 94. DPPE, BESP, DES, ACPE and ACSE will find it on page 23. The reading techniques, the skimming and scanning, those two are always in the examination papers, so study them. And DJPE, you will find them on page 146, while the other courses will find it on page 24. Make sure you know that. You will find it in the exam paper some other time. Then another very important one is how to read the text or papers, examination papers for that matter, or magazines critically. DJPE will find it on page 153. DPPE, BESP, DES, ACPE and ACSE will find their information on page 26 in their study guide. Then the other one, which is also very important, is how to read a test or examination paper. And that is very important. You have to study that one. DJPE will find it on page 158. DPPE, BESP, DES, ACPE and ACSE will find it on page 27. The proper use of a dictionary and thesaurus. By now, and you know that those two are also every time in the exams. So, make sure you know it. DJPE will find it on page 164. DPPE, BESP, DES, ACSE and ACPE will find it on page 28 in their study guide. Now, as I've said, concentrate on the following: skimming and scanning, the use of a dictionary or the thesaurus. Critical reading is always important, and a competent reader. And also, as I've said, the benefits of reading that goes with the competent reader. Unit 3 is the general and academic English, the speaking skills. We had now the reading skills, we had the listening skills, and now we are on the speaking skills. And DJPE will find that information on page 173. DPPE, BESP, DES, ACPE and ACSE will find their information on page 30. The pronunciation of English sounds, you can go through it, but that is not that important. That you will find the DJPE on page 175, while the other students can find that on page 31. Compiling a glossary of 50 new words and their meanings per semester. I wouldn't spend that much time on that one. But if you want to go through it, you will find it on page 183 for the DJPE students, and the others will find it on page 35 in their study guide. Now, which is very important, is the basic interpersonal communication skills. That one you have to study. The DJPE will find it on page 186. DPPE, BESP, DES, ACP and ACSE will find it on page 36. Oral etiquette in the following situations. Very important. Study it. DJPE, page 190. DPPE, BESP, DES, ACPE, ACSE, page 37. Telephone conversations, very important. DJPE you will find in 191. The other students will find that on page 38. The participation in meetings, also important. DJPE, you will find your info on page 198, while DPPE, BESP, DES, ACP and ACSE will find it on page 40. The part on interviews are always important because you are going to go to an interview some or other time. And therefore, we will ask it in the exam so that you will know how to act when you are invited for an interview. So therefore, study it carefully. DJPE, you will find that info on page 206, while DPPE, BESP, DES, ACP and the ACSE students will find it on page 42. Warnings, apologizings and stating conditions, also important. DJPE, you will find that on page 222 to 225, while the DPPE, BESP, DES, ACSE and ACPE students will find it on page 45. Introductions, greetings, welcoming, thankings. That section you can find the DJPE students on page 225, while the other students can find it on page 46. Agreeing or praise or disagreeing or criticize. DJPE, you will find that on page 226. DPPE, BESP, DES, ACPE, ACSE will find this information on page 47. Public speaking and presentation skills are also very important. DJPE will find that on page 227. BESP, DPPE, DES, ACSE and ACPE will find your information on page 47. Interacting with learners in the classroom or with colleagues or with the head of department, school principal, that could be a nice question to ask. And you will find your answer to that question on page 233 for the DJPE students. The DPPE, BESP, DES, ACSE and ACPE will find their answer on page 50. The use of the W questions for gathering information. A nice question to ask, you can go through it. DPPE, BESP, DES, ACPE, ACSE will find theirs on page 53, while the DJPE will find their information on page 234. Common law guidelines for managing or chairing the group or a group discussion. DJPE, page 240. The other students will find it on page 54. Concentrate on the following. And by now, BICS and CALC are also very, very important. You will get it in some other question paper, so study it. Communication skills, very important, as well as oral etiquette. Now, Unit 4 are your linguistic constructs. I just want to point out before I get to Unit 4, you will get in your examination paper for 2019, you will get a comprehension test. So, read carefully and answer the questions carefully and pay attention to what is asked in the question. The other thing that you will also get, which is new in 2019, is a multiple choice question. Something different. So you have to go through all the work in order to be able to answer the multiple choice questions. Okay, getting back to Unit 4, the linguistic constructs. Sometimes I know you think, oh, that is just speaking the language. But it's not that easy. For the year of 2019, I've covered almost everything in the linguistic construct unit. So you can't just think it's just, if I can speak English, I can answer that. No, no, no. You have to study Unit 4 as well. For the DJPE students, you will find Unit 4 on page 243. DPPE, BESP, DES, ACSE and ACPE, those students will find it in their Lutheran book from page 16 to page 56 and in their study guides from page 66 to 68. Now the first linguistic construct that you have to be able to know what is going on are the nouns, and there are different nouns, the different types of nouns. And you will have to give your own example of each type of noun given or choose the correct type of noun to match words given. And we get the common noun, which is the ordinary objects like everything that you can touch. A table, a chair, a book, a lamp, a car, a child, anything that you can touch. Those are the common nouns. Then we get the proper nouns. And the proper nouns are those names of persons, places, days, months. In other words, everything that's written with a capital letter. And the proper noun are always written in capital letter or starting with a capital letter. Like Sean or London or Windhoek or Rundu or Tuesday or Christmas, May, September. Any word that's starting with a capital letter is a proper noun. Now the abstract noun that one gets are the things that we cannot see, or you can't touch it, or you can't measure it. And those are the things that are worth to all of us, like friendship, like kindness, like courage. Then we get the collective noun. And those are the nouns which I love to ask. So you better study them. Those collective nouns are usually a collection or a group of objects, of people or creatures, of animals. For instance, I will ask you, make a sentence with a flight of stars. Or what is the collective noun for a lot of geese together, like a gaggle of geese? Or a lot of cattle, we'll call a herd of cattle. So make sure you know the collective nouns. I love to ask it. The pronouns, it takes the place of a noun. For example, you won't say Mrs. Nieuwoud is Mrs. Nieuwoud because Mrs. Nieuwoud does the tutoring. No, Mrs. Nieuwoud, I am me, and I am, and me, and him, and them, and she, and it. Those are the pronouns. You don't repeat your name every time or the name every time. Then we get to the non-countable noun. Some nouns are not countable and are called uncountable nouns or mass nouns. And those are the things that you really can't count, like in sand or water. You can count the liters of water, but you can't count water. The stars in the sky, you can't count them. Sugar, coffee granules, you can't count them. So those are the non-countable nouns. Then we get to the abstract noun, which is like freedom, love, power, things abstract that you can just imagine. You may be asked to choose the correct type of noun to match the given words. Now DJPE, you can find the nouns on page 253, while DPPE, BESP, DES, ACSE and ACPE will find those nouns in Lutheran on page 16. Now tenses are also very often in your question papers, and you must be able to change sentences either into the simple past tense or into the simple present tense, or from active to passive voice. So make sure that you know what is going on in the tenses. Don't think, yeah, there are certain places where you usually make mistakes. Like the simple past tense. He sold pigs and bought a ticket. When you have to put that into a simple present tense, he sells pigs and buys a ticket. The tenses the DJPE will find on page 308. The DPPE, BESP, DES, ACPE and ACSE will find that in your Lutheran book on page 28. Talking about active and passive voice, that is also in your papers, so make sure you understand that. You will be asked to change sentences either from active to passive or from passive to active voice. In the active voice, the subject of the sentence does the action, the verb, whereby in the passive voice, the object becomes the subject and is having the action done to it. For example, the children, which is the subject, kick the ball, which is the object, into the pool. Now change that, then the ball, which is the object now, is kicked into the pool by the children, which is the subject. And that's what we say. In the active voice, the subject of the sentence does the action. The subject, the children, does the action, kick the ball. Whereby in the passive voice, the object becomes the object, is the ball, becomes the subject, and is having the action done to kick into the pool by the children. DJPE, page 314 for you. DPPE, BESP, DES, ACP and ACSE will find that exercises in Lutheran page 32. Now prepositions, you will find prepositions in your exam paper for sure. They are there. And prepositions are small little words that usually relate to words or phrases and to one another. For example, on, after, from, with, in, behind, in front, next to, beside, words like those. You must use given prepositions to complete the sentences. DJPE, you'll find your prepositions on page 367. The other students will find theirs in Lutheran, page 36. Direct and indirect speech. When you change sentences from the direct to the indirect speech, you must leave out the question mark and the inverted commas because you are actually not saying it anymore. The pronouns change. For example, my family changes to her family or his family. And the tense also change. When they say Mary said, inverted commas, I am feeling good today. And you have to change it now to the indirect speech. Then there's like in Mary said that because now you leave out your inverted commas. Mary said that she was feeling good that day. I am feeling good today. Mary said that she was feeling good that day. Okay. You must be able to change sentences from the direct speech to the indirect speech or vice versa. DJPE, you will find your exercises on page 313, and DPPE, BESP, DES, ACPE and ACSE will find their exercises in page 38. Prefixes and suffixes. I find that in 2018 you were struggling with those prefixes and suffixes, especially in your assignments. So be warned. A prefix comes before. That's why it says pre. Pre always means in front of. So a prefix comes before the root of the word. For example, engage, and the prefix must come in front, so it is then disengage. The suffix means it's behind, it's after the root of the word, like freedom, free, which becomes freedom. You will find, or you will have to complete words in sentences using prefixes or suffixes. You will also be asked to circle the prefix or the suffix in a certain word or underline it. DJPE, page 414 for you, while the other students can find theirs in Lutheran on page 46 and 47. Synonyms and antonyms, my favorite. You know it by now, so synonyms and antonyms, study them please. Synonyms are words with the same or the similar meaning. Antonyms are words with opposite meanings. So you will have to give me the antonym of a given word, or you will have to give me the synonym of a given word. You can also be asked to substitute words with suitable synonyms. You can be asked to use antonyms and synonyms in sentences of your own, and make sure to show that you understand its meaning. Really, to show that you understand the meaning of the word. And that is very important, otherwise you lose your marks. DJPE, page 405 to 415, and DPPE, BESP, DES, ACP and ACSE. We'll find these in Lutheran, page 48 and 52. Homonyms and homophones can be confusing sometimes. Homonyms are words that is spelt and pronounced in an identical way, in the same way, but they have a different meaning or a different function. For example, a band, which could be a group of musicians that makes music. A band plays at a party. But then you get banned, like in BANNED, which means forbidden. You may not do it. You are banned to jump on the trampoline because you are too big. Banned. DJPE, you will find homonyms and homophones on page 415, while DPPE and BESP, DES, ACP and ACSE will find it in Lutheran, page 54. Homophones are words with the same sound, but with different spellings and meanings. For example, bear, which is an animal, or bare, which means naked. So you can hear it sounds the same, but the spelling is different. And homophones, DJPE, you will find it on page 427, DPPE, BSP, DAS, ACP and ACSE will find it in Lutheran, page 55. You can be asked to make sentences with these words to show that you understand the difference in meanings. Diminutives, I like that one as well. You will have to give the diminutives for given words. Now, diminutives means the baby, the little one. For example, a lion, his baby is a cub. A cat, his baby is a kitten. A small little stream is a streamlet. A tiny little book is a booklet. So it's the baby, it's the small one of the big one. Diminutives, DJPE for you it will be on page 200. No, it must be 400, sorry, my mistake. 485. DPPE, BESP, DES, ACP and ACSE in Lutheran page 25. The plurals are usually very easy for you, and you must be able to change a certain word in a sentence to the plural. The neighbor has a son and a daughter. The neighbors have sons and daughters. And those are also on page 488, while the others will find it on page 28 to 26 in their Lutheran books. Verbs. You will have to complete a given story by using the correct form of the verb in brackets. You can also be asked to circle or underline the correct form of the verb in brackets. Verbs are the working words. Verbs are words in a sentence which does the work. DJPE, you will find that on page 308, and the other students will find it in their Lutheran books, page 28 to 36. Idioms, really my favorite, you will get it, idioms. You will have to make your own sentences with idioms to make the meaning of the idiom clear. If I will ask you to make a sentence with, say for instance, out of the blue, then you can't just say, I am out of the blue in the classroom. It means nothing to me. You must make a sentence so that I can know what means out of the blue. My friend came out of the blue to visit me, and it was a big surprise to me. Now I know what means out of the blue. DJPE, you will find your idioms on page 377 to 338. DJPE, BESP, DES, ACP and ACSE will find their idioms in their Lutheran book on page 56. Now the comprehension test. I warned you there will be one. You might be given a comprehension test to read and to answer. Make sure that you understand what you are reading. Always answer the questions. Please make sure you answer them in full sentences. And one word is not a full sentence. And a full sentence starts with a capital letter. A full sentence never starts with the words like because, and, etc. Your linguistic constructs will be tested in the comprehension test. And make sure you know how to use the correct punctuation. Plagiarism, very important. You can learn that. That is very, very important. And you will find it in the exam paper, in one of the three, or maybe two. Make sure you know the importance of plagiarism when doing your assignments and when answering your questions in the exams. You can find this in front of your study guide under Word of Welcome. DJPE, you will find them on page 14 in your study guide. DPPE, BSP, DES, ACP and ACS, you will find it on page 9 in their study guide. So make sure you know how to use quotes in academic writing to avoid plagiarism. And those you will also find in the above on the above pages. The exam preparation and writing tips. Your exam table. Make sure you know what rooms your exams will be in and what time they start. Consult your IOL officers for those details and not the subject tutor, please, because I don't know anything about that and I don't know any of your admin problems. That is why your IOL office is there. Ask them. I am only your tutor. I can only help you with the information that you need for this subject. The material. Remember to carry enough pens, pencils, a watch, a ruler, glasses, your student card, and any other material that will be required when writing examinations, not your cell phone. During the examination, write your details as requested and explain right in front of this presentation. Read the exam paper a couple of times to make sure you understand the instructions and the questions. Underline or encircle the verb so that you know how to handle that. Make sure you answer all the questions in the paper. Do not dive into writing without first reading your entire paper, and calculate how much time you will give to each question and stick to that. The solutions if things go wrong, which can happen. If you panic, it is normal to some of us to panic during examinations. And it is advisable to take deep breaths, 3, 4, 5, just to calm you down. In through the nose and out through the mouth. This will slow down the heartbeat and it will also reduce panic. When going blank, that might happen. In case you happen to go blank and you cannot remember a thing, take a deep breath for a few seconds and then write down keywords on the exam paper to help jog your memory and to try to remember the day you studied the topic for the question being asked and see if this helps. Emergencies, which is also relevant. If you happen to fall ill during the exam session, immediately notify the invigilator for correct actions to be taken. In general, obtaining high marks in your assignment does not guarantee high marks in the examinations. You now have to make sure you know the content of the assignment and other information from the study guide very well to do well in the upcoming examinations. And make sure that you have all the information you'll get from the contact sessions and the feedbacks of the assignments. And a very good hint, listen carefully to this presentation and you will find your information which is important in here. You will find very important and useful information through these sources, your assignments and your contact sessions. Please study hard for the upcoming examinations to be successful. Start now. Start now. Don't wait 2 weeks before the exam. You won't finish your work. You won't be able to remember everything. Start now with summaries. Start now with studying. Only if you do 1 unit a week, you will be able to finish by the time. You will be able to do revision of your work. But start immediately. If you need my help or anything concerning the study material, you are welcome to contact me outside business hours, which is very important because I also run a business and I really work in business hours. But you can send me an email, and my email address is at the bottom of this presentation. Contact me on my cell phone between 6 in the evening and 8 in the evening. I won't be able to answer your questions or I won't be able to help you if you phone me 10 o'clock in the morning. Really, I am working. I prefer it if you contact me per email, because then I am able to give you a well-constructed answer. I really wish you all of the best for the upcoming examinations. My email address is on the screen, as well as my cell phone number. Email me at cloter@afol.com.na and I can answer you. If you want to phone me, I repeat, between 6 at night and 8 at the evenings, I will be able to help you. Everything of the best. Good luck. Try your best. Thank you.